Hey guys, just thought I'd do a quick update since it's been like a month since I've done any vlogging. Things have just been wild. You know, obviously brand new baby. Adelia's here. She's just hanging out in the Moby. Wyatt's right here with me. What do you want, bud?
Train.
Yeah, you can go watch Thomas the Train, okay? Okay. Yes. But yeah, just getting used to life with two little kids under the age of 3, and Ethan went back to work yesterday, so getting used to being here by myself the last couple days has been interesting. He was getting up in the mornings with the little kids so that I could go back to sleep because I'm up most of the night with Adelia. She doesn't sleep very well at night. She seems to want to cluster feed overnight for some reason. And so I'm up most of the night, and he would take over in the mornings, but now that he's at work, there's nobody to take over, and I just have to suck it up and figure out how to work on this much sleep. But my third kid, so it's not, you know, nothing new. I expected it and I knew it was coming, so. But other than that, we're doing good. I want to get my birth video up, but I have issues with my memory cards just not being big enough, and it's a long story, and I might have to break it up into a what led up to her birth and why I was in the hospital, and then the actual C-section itself, because they're both pretty wild stories and they're both going to take me a while to tell you. Long story short, I very suddenly developed preeclampsia. They don't know why, don't know what happened. I had perfect blood pressure my entire pregnancy, and one day it just skyrocketed, and despite medication and their best efforts, it was only getting worse, and I was only getting sicker. So while it wasn't an emergency C-section in the sense that I needed to be knocked out and her out, she did have to get out quickly. They did a spinal, so I was awake. I did get to, you know, see and hear her birth, but they had to get her out very quickly, and Ethan just barely made it into the operating room in order to see her be born. So, but I will, like I said, I'll make those videos and I'll put them up and explain more in detail what happened. Good news is we're both okay, and it got scary. It got a little wild, it got a little scary, but we're fine and everything's good now. So yeah, I'll get working on that one of these days. Other than that, things are good. We're making a good transition. Brian is an awesome big brother. He always has been, so it's been pretty easy and pretty seamless with him. Wyatt, it was a little rough when I first got home. We kind of ill-prepared him for being gone for 3 days. He stayed with my in-laws, and he loves Grandma and Grandpa. He loves going to their house. He loves spending time with them, but he had never spent more than 1 night away at their house, and no more than 2 nights away from us, ever. In 2.5 years. He spent 1 night at my in-laws and 1 night at my mother's, and that was it. So to suddenly be thrust into my in-laws' home for 3 days and not be home and not be in his own bed and not be with Mom and Dad was really hard on him. And it took a couple of days after we got home for him to feel normal and comfortable, and to even be able to just go to bed and go to sleep without me sitting there forever. I think he was afraid he was going to wake up and I was going to be gone again, and I don't blame him. So if I could change anything, we would have prepared him better for that, because we worked so hard to make sure he understood that baby sister was coming and what that meant and how things were going to change, and having him help pick things out. And we went shopping and bought a present for him to give her in the hospital, which of course that fell through because everything got wild. But, you know, we did everything we could to prepare him for her being here, but we didn't actually prepare him for her arrival, if that makes sense. So, and he just wasn't prepared at all for me to be gone and in the hospital and to only see me for 15 minutes out of 4 days, you know. So other than that, once he got over that, things actually went very well. He is absolutely head over heels in love with his baby sister. He wants to be with her constantly. He's constantly climbing over the top of me to get to her, which has been a little bit rough. I am, you know, recovering from a C-section, so while I'm doing really well now, those first couple weeks with him trying to climb on top was painful and a little scary. I was a little afraid he was going to lean on my stomach the wrong way and bust my incision open or something, you know. Probably a dumb, not very logical concern. I don't know, but it did hurt when he would lean on me, so we're still kind of battling with that, just getting him to stay out of her face and to not touch and to not be quite as rough. He struggles with gentle touches, and remembering that she's smaller than he is and not as strong as he is, and he needs to be careful. And he gets so excited about being with her that he kind of forgets sometimes. So you got to be on his butt constantly, reminding him to slow down, to speak quieter, and to just be more gentle. But other than that, he's doing good. Struggling a little bit with him not wanting to stop doing something when you tell him no, tell him stop, tell him get out of there, and him kind of being like, I'll do whatever the heck I want. That it wasn't really ever an issue before, or maybe it wasn't an issue I was all that aware of because I didn't have another person to take care of. So we're working on that, listening better, and getting off his sister. But it's sweet at the same time that he wants to be with her, and he wants to play with her and talk with her, and he wants to sit on my lap, and he helps a lot. If I need something, he'll go grab it. He knows where the pacifiers are. If I drop the bottle or the burp cloth or blanket or whatever, he's more than happy to go get things for me. And I think it makes him feel like he's helping out, and he is. He insists on being right next to me during diaper changes. He will go get the chair and pull the chair up next to the table, because I have a chair that I've been using since I'm not allowed to lift him for 3 more weeks. There's a chair that I have that he climbs onto the chair and then climbs onto the changing table for me to change him. So when I'm changing her, he insists on getting up on that chair and then talking to her and playing with her while I change her diaper. He wants to be there for everything, which is good. She loves watching him. You know, she's starting to focus more on his face and acknowledging when he's there. And I think it's going to be hilarious when the day comes and she actually like reacts to him and actually laughs at him. He's going to go bananas. It's going to be nuts. He is, yeah, it's going to get so much louder. But yeah, we're good. I'm doing mostly well. I think I overdo it every once in a while, and my stomach hurts a little bit, but my incision looks good. I haven't had any real issues with that at all. Just a little bit achy when I do too much. Occasionally breastfeeding has gone better this time around than it has with my boys ever, but my comfort zone is still the pumping and bottle feeding breast milk, and I've been pumping since the 3rd day in the hospital. I made Ethan bring my pump up to the hospital because she was cluster feeding and I had just had enough. I was in pain and I was exhausted and I was overwhelmed and I was struggling to feel that. I just don't get that bonding moment that people talk about when they nurse. Instead, I get overwhelmed and I get frustrated and I start to cringe when she starts rooting around looking for food. So for me, the pumping kind of relieves that tension so that I can enjoy when I do nurse her instead of constantly feeling like, oh my God, not again, you know? And she's doing awesome. She has no problem switching back and forth between breast and bottle. I pump every 4 hours and pump most recently like 70 ounces a day. So I am making a ridiculous amount of milk. Our freezer downstairs is very quickly filling up, which is awesome because I had supply issues with Wyatt and we did at some point have to supplement with formula. So he got formula and breast milk towards the end of his first year, and I would very much like for her to only get breast milk if that is at all possible. So I'm not doing anything wild or crazy to try and make more breast milk. I'm just pumping on a regular schedule. I'm making sure to stay hydrated. I'm making sure to eat. That's kind of hard sometimes. I forget to eat and then I pump and then it's like, good God, I'm starving to death and I'm dying of thirst. And yeah, so doing my best to remember to keep my calorie intake up and to keep my hydration up, because those two things are very important to making breast milk and will affect your supply. So doing pretty good. Like I said, Ethan's back to work. I still have several weeks left of my maternity leave. And go, I think that's about it. She's good. She's gaining weight. Her last appointment a week ago, she was up to 6 pounds, 13 ounces, and she was born at 6'1". So she's more than, they wanted her back at her birth weight by 2 weeks, and she had well surpassed that. So obviously, she's getting more than enough milk and more than enough of what she needs from me, which is always an awesome feeling to, you know, be able to nourish your baby with your body. I mean, you do it during pregnancy, but then to actually see it and see this little person grow on nothing but your breast milk that you make is just, that to me is the bonding thing. That is the most amazing feeling, to know that I'm nourishing her with nothing more than what I make and what my body makes. So yeah, so we're doing good. And like I said, I'll try and get that birth video done, and things are a little wild, things are a little chaotic. I gotta start going through baby clothes and getting rid of stuff, because there's no point in keeping it around. I'm getting an IUD put in at 8 weeks, so let's get rid of all the baby stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you're new, feel free to subscribe. Go ahead, hit that like button, send me a comment if you have any questions about anything that's going on with us, any questions about exclusively pumping. I would be more than happy to answer them. Like I said, this is my second baby that I've pumped for. I pumped a little bit for Brian, but it was very short. And I pumped a whole year for Wyatt, and I plan on pumping an entire year for Adelia. So if you have any questions about breastfeeding or pumping or anything like that, let me know. Just leave a question in the comments. Thanks, guys. See you later.